Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is Trav again. Thank you for stopping by. And in this video, we're going to do a short prelude into tree farms, into automated tree farms, so you can wet your whistle. Some of this will be a repeat of knowledge you already know for some of you that are more experienced with automated tree farms. But for some of you kind of interested in dabbling in it, hopefully you can learn something from this. If you do, don't forget to please support the video is all I ask. So we're going to get into this. And as a prelude, we're not going to go head first into a very complicated tree farm, but we're going to start off kind of understanding the concepts of how to create an automated tree farm and understand some of the mechanics behind it, because they're quite complicated and they can often give early redstoners a hard time because of their complexity. So let's try to break it down into some parts so we can understand what really is going on and what we need to do. So to begin with, let's talk about double pistons and double piston extenders. Okay, so first thing we got is just a double piston, so a stack of pistons here, and let's see about powering these, how it works. If I were to power the block that's placed along the back of the bottom piston, and if the red dust came in parallel to the face of the sticky piston, it only powers the bottom piston. If I were to bring the dust from the back, so it goes perpendicular to the face of the sticky piston, it powers both pistons on that bottom block. If we were to power the pistons parallel to the face, but along the top of the back of the top piston, it fires both pistons. Now, how can we make this a double piston extender? Well, an easy way is to add an observer to the bottom that's facing up, with the second piston on top. And once again, we're powering the block parallel to the face and at the height of the top piston. So let's see what happens. Double piston extension. Now let's see what it does with the block. It leaves it. Let's test this with a sticky piston. Will it grab that block? Yes, it will. Okay, so we could use this. So let's talk about timing. All that I've done here is I've widened the double piston extender because we have quasi connectivity. I can use this observer on the bottom, placing a block above it, and I can power both of these pistons along the front. So once again, all sticky pistons in the back, and there's the front. I'm powering along the top of the sticky pistons, parallel to the face. You can see both of them working. And if you were to put blocks in front of them, you leave both blocks out. Now, to understand some timings, and timing's a very important thing to tree farms, why they often can be quite complicated. A stone button burns for about a second. 1001. 1001, 1001, and in 1 second you have 20 game ticks or 10 redstone ticks, and we're going to be referring to that. So one stone button produces 10 redstone ticks of power. Alright, so we know these double piston extenders with observers are working with 10 redstone ticks of pulse. Let's see if we can run that number down. So over here, I've doubled, once again, the width of our double piston extenders. You leave in the upwards facing observers on the outsides, putting normal pistons in between, all sticky pistons in the back, powering behind the top sticky pistons parallel to their face. So let's check it with a tick of pulse. Leaving the items out. That won't work. Let's try adding some delay. Not enough. Let's add another tick. This would be 4. Something new. So what's happening there is, if you watch, the sticky pistons in the back can't pull those front pistons back because they're being powered at the same time these are receding. And when those retract, you can't move powered pistons. So let's add another tick. Total of 5. Still leaving them out. Another tick. Total of 6. Ah. Now we're on to something. So that's our minimum. So we need a 6-tick pulse generator for these to work minimum. Interesting. So with these concepts in mind, let's talk about the reasons for using double piston extenders and what their roles are. So here I have just a double slice, all centered around where you would plant a tree. And the whole point of this is for an automated or at least a semi-automated tree farm to work. Once you plant the tree needs to be removed from the farm so it could be replanted. If you were to just chop it down by hand, then you wouldn't need any of this. Then you would just be doing a lot of work. So the point of the double piston extender is not only to break the leaves around the tree, but also to remove the tree from the farm. Okay, so as you can see, these are all normal pistons. So they're going to be pushing leaves and branches from outside positions to the center. Okay, and then once everything's centered, then this double piston extender can reach out, grab the items, and bring them back here. So that means this would have to fire after these have pushed items back in. Now you have your items here. You got to get them out of the farm. Well, one way of doing that is to after the trunk is here, you fire another double piston extender from the side afterwards to grab it, bringing it back here. And then once that's done, after that, you fire a single piston, sticky piston, to grab the item and move it here. And then lastly, after that's happened, you fire normal pistons to push the item here outside of the farm so that the process can be repeated again. So let's take a look at what this would look like in action. Once again, so if you carefully watch the timings, you could see that what's in the middle is being pulled out, and then everything around it would be pushed back to center. And then lastly, all this is going to fire. So watch. Centered. Pulled to the side, grabbed, moved over, and pushed out of the farm. Right there in that process. So, for some trees like oak and birch, if you stunt the growth and keep them under 7 blocks, you won't have to deal with branches. For acacia, you're going to have to deal with other branches. So let's imagine this has branches sticking out of this tree. How would we deal with this? So let's run the farm once and see what happens. The center's pulled away, and the branches are all pushed to the center. So then all what that means is we have to run the farm one more time to remove all the other branches from center. Well, I hope this helps clear the air on how you could use double pistons to automate a tree farm. Okay, so now that means you're left with all this wood stuff to the side. So the question then is what to do with it. You have basically 3 schools of thought. You could mine it by hand, you can mine it with dynamite, or you can mine it with a wither. We'll come back to mining by hand. Let's look at the other options because they sound pretty cool. Let's look at dynamite. If I were to lay down these logs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 logs. I set TNT down. I'm going to get rid of all the birch logs in my inventory. And let's go gather. 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 20. 1/5. Let's try it again. $20 more logs. 1 TNT. Get rid of what's in my inventory. This time we got 8, not even half. And once more. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 20. One more time. 20 logs. I got 5. So we've yet to hit even 50% return per stick per TNT block. So another option is the wither. And this is popularly used on tech servers on the PC. And the main reason they get away with this is because their bedrock, imagine this is bedrock, is 1, 2, 3, 4 levels thick, which allows them to, on this level, to find a nice ring with its center open, where they could spawn a wither in and trap it inside the ring. On PlayStation, our bedrock is only 1, 2, 3 layers thick. And you won't be able to find this ring on the top layer. And finding it on that layer won't allow you to have the space you need to trap a wither. So in the traditional sense, that's not possible in the overworld, on the floor. And for a personal note, I'd like to give my thoughts on this. Typically, I avoid exploits that take advantage of game mechanics in an exploitative fashion. Now, obviously, I do use TNT duping with flying machines. But that's mostly because of 2 big reasons. Sand doesn't replenish, and bulk crafting, I think, could use an overhaul. Personal reasons, obviously. But wither trapping, I think is a mechanic that's not supposed to be there. And I don't necessarily agree with it. I don't have anything against those that do. But I don't like the mechanic, just like I don't like zero-tick farms or shaky sand farms for the same reason. So with that being said, let's get on to the last option, which would be mining this stuff by hand. To do that in a way that kind of makes sense is we want to be able to run this farm for as long as possible before stopping to gather up all the wood. So one way to do that without getting too complicated is as the logs are being pushed away from the farm, to bunch them into a 12 by 12 cube. Okay, so 12 wide, 12 long cube, and it'd be as high as all the trees were. And the reason for that is because then they can be filed into this cube using pistons. Any more than that, the piston wouldn't be able to push the items into position. So then once you have these items into a 12 by 12 cube, then using a beacon and a good hatchet, you can go crazy, and you're going to get stacks and stacks of wood every time you stop to harvest. Okay? So those are the basic concepts on how to kind of get these things working. And that's all I really want to get into today. We don't want to do too much at once. So to kind of summarize, by understanding the timing and relation of double piston extenders, we can put them in a way that serves the purpose of removing the wood from the farm after the tree grows. And then from there, we can bunch the wood up into cubes to make the process of harvesting that wood easier. So by putting all of these things together, then you could start to visualize what would make a good tree farm that is certainly PlayStation friendly. And that's all I would like to cover today, because this is quite a bit. And based off the interest this video has, I can do a tutorial on it, but it's going to be pretty complicated. So if that's something you're interested in seeing, please let me know in the comments that you're interested in seeing this tree farm in a tutorial form. And I'll take the time to break it down step by step so you understand, you guys understand how all of the pieces work. And it's probably going to take more than one video to really get the information across, because more than anything, I like to have you guys learn all the mechanics of how these things work, because then you could take that knowledge and you could do all sorts of stuff with it instead of just copying something. So at any rate, guys, I hope you enjoy, and as always, this is Trav. Until next time, bye for now.